So, the Panthers and Leafs are now all square, and one thing we've talked about for the Leafs is that they cannot let themselves get dragged into the muck. Well, in Game 4, the Leafs, and 3, the Leafs were dragged into the muck. The chippiness that the Florida Panthers are known for and get a lot of credit for has started to control this game, and I thought that the Panthers played, not just in this way, but because of this, I think that it led to a complete effort from the Florida Panthers. I think that you see how talented this team can be, and I think that you can see now once they start to dictate the pace, and once they start to kind of play into their strengths a little bit and start to control how the game is going, you can really see how effective that they can be. They controlled the shot clock in Game 4 and really controlled that game. I thought Wall was fantastic, and otherwise that game could have really gotten away from them. So now the Leafs back into having to score some of those dirty goals, and this is going to be a battle. The Panthers let them know that this is going to be a battle in that last game. This has been the last couple of games have been kind of dictated by the Panthers. After, to their credit, the Leafs dictated the first 2 games of the series. So now this Game 5 in a couple hours tonight is going to be very fascinating to see how it all goes. Also, tonight, the Edmonton Oilers with a chance to put away the Vegas Golden Knights. I thought Game 4 was the best Oilers performance of the postseason, and probably the best Oilers performance in quite some time. This team has looked a little bit out of it at sorts, a little out of sorts at times, but I think now when you see all of it kind of coming together, and even Skinner was good the other night, you can see how dangerous this Oilers team really can be. And I thought a very, very impressive performance. And it's funny, you do a video on how the Oilers are ruining Connor McDavid and all of that, and then they rattle off, what's it been now? It was 4 at the end of that now, so it's 7 of their last 8 that they have won. Awesome. Great. Perfect timing on my part for that. But no, I mean, to their credit, that they've controlled the whole game in that last one and are a weird bounce away from probably being done with this series. And it hasn't mattered home or away or anything like that. They have been full marks. And look, I was hard on them after a couple of games against LA. I'm going to continue to be hard on them if it deserves it, but it doesn't right now. They're playing some phenomenal hockey, and I think that it is showing through in the results that they are getting. On the Knights side, I think you need to really make life difficult for Stuart Skinner coming up in this next game, because it's a little concerning. It wasn't that he looked great in that last game, it's that he didn't have to, because Edmonton really controlled that much of that game. But I do think that when you are looking at where you start to really get concerned about the Oilers, it's if Skinner gets very hot. And for Vegas, they did nothing to slow that down in that last game. And so any doubt that this guy has had, and it doesn't seem like that is something that is necessarily a big concern for him, but any doubt this guy might have had, or any problems he may be having in terms of confidence or anything like that, kind of goes out the window when he pitches a shutout in the playoffs. So it is now up to Edmonton to, I guess, prevent this, but it's up to Vegas to really make life very miserable on one Stuart Skinner. The other Canadian team in the playoffs right now, the Winnipeg Jets, have failed to deal with adversity once again. You look back at the length of review of the last game. Coming out of that, Dallas scored in 40 seconds right away, right? It was something along those lines. And the Stars looked like they were ready, while the Jets looked like, oh, well, this is one thing that has gone against us, and we couldn't possibly overcome that, so guess we're screwed. And then the last game, they just got outplayed. Like, they just haven't looked good for major stretches. And you think of how they have kind of won a lot of these games, and you think back to the St. Louis one, it's that they make a push in Game 7 and get that epic comeback to tie it up, and then eventually they do win it in overtime. But it almost feels like they're winning some of these games by mistake instead of outplaying their opposition right now. This looks like a shell of a team that won the President's Trophy this year. They look nothing alike to the team that we saw in the regular season. So I think obviously you have major concerns if you are a Winnipeg Jets fan right now, because we can have the discussion about playoffs and clutch and all of that. This looks like an entirely different team. This looks basically unrecognizable from the team that we saw in the regular season. And in round 1, I didn't think a whole lot of it had to do with what the Blues were doing. I thought that could have been any team. And in round 2, I do think part of it is what the Stars are doing. But that is just kind of making it seem all that much more difficult for them. Like now you are facing some real resistance, and it is becoming a real problem. So some major concerns ahead for the Winnipeg Jets if they want to get back into their series. But a very interesting postseason night ahead in the national, or a couple nights ahead, I guess, in the National Hockey League.